What is going on, guys? Today is a special day. It is time for another subscriber contribution to the cause. And what is that cause? It's basically trying to get as much information to you guys to educate you so you can make wiser purchasing decisions. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be opening a couple reels that were submitted by a few of my subscribers. I most recently did a review on the Corrado K that was submitted by Cooking and Fishing. These two boxes are from subscribers, one of which is a fellow Stripers Online brother, HK Jonathan. Thank you very much. And Fernand Delee, I believe that's how you pronounce your name. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Had great discussions back and forth via email, and he opted to send me one of his reels as well. He just wants me to take a look at it, see what my thoughts are on it. Same thing with HK Jonathan. He has a few reels that he sent in, some of which have gotten some huge attention and exposure on the message boards. And I kind of want to see what makes them tick. There's not much info out there. A couple guys have done some reviews on some of them. I've been trying to get as much feedback on one of the reels as possible. But without further ado, let's go ahead now and crack them open. No sense in me just sitting here yapping like I usually do without showing you what we're going to be yapping about in the future. Alrighty. Okay, some bubble wrap and a Cast King Speed Demon. Now, this reel, there's been a lot of chatter about. And I always kind of get a kick out of certain things that are marketed on the box and now on the internet. And I don't quite understand when gear ratio became a selling point. I mean, you can do pretty much anything you want with the 6.3. 7.1s are great. I don't understand why you need to go 8.1 or 8.1 and higher unless it's a tiny spool. But I'm going to tear this sucker apart, put some time on it. It's getting cold out. A faster reel isn't necessarily what I would prefer to be fishing because I always find that it's easier to speed up than slow down, but I'll make it work. So thank you very much for that contribution. And now we have some saltwater reels in a box that's been taped, and it's recycled because we all love recycling. How did I miss this piece? There. Hey, even has a little hinge so I can fold it away from my camera. It's got airbags. Oh wow, I never knew this is what the box looked like. So this is pretty obviously the Tsunami shield. And we have a Penn and a Daiwa. Let me get this out of the way, make some room so we can make some noise. There we go. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the 5,000 Tsunami shield, which incorporates seals into the body, and I think there are seals in the line roller. I could be wrong. There are seals pretty much all over. And this is an OEM clone type reel. This is marketed under a few different name brands. It's not always a bad thing. Just look at Lose. There is definitely some geariness. And there is a zip tie with a ring. I'm guessing he's using that as a hook hanger. Can you hear that? It's talking. It's like a croaker. It's got a very mushy bail. Was it a manual? No, it's an automatic. Interesting. Very interesting. How much flex is in the aluminum rotor? A little bit, but this is an inshore reel. You don't have to worry about, big fish cranking on it and bending the line roller into the spool. Just figured I'd point that out. So we're going to go ahead and put this back in its fancy box. And now, moving along, to, in my opinion, the best $99 reel ever made. I should say the best $100 reel to come out since the Stratic back in, 2001? It was like 100 or 105 bucks. This, my friends, is an amazing reel for the money. It truly is. It's such a nice reel that I think it's kind of eaten into the Saltist sales. And I do have a Saltist on the way, so we will be doing a direct comparison. And just to give you an idea, guys, I'll grab my microphone wire. I'm a huge fan of the Daiwa saltwater spinners. As I rip my microphone off. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the reel that everybody's talking about. This is the Penn Slammer 3. I was always a fan of the Slammer. I really was. I'm not a Penn fan. I think a lot of the stuff they sell is kind of overpriced, and people just usually buy it because they affiliate with the Penn of yesteryear. I do like the Torque 1. I don't know anything about the Torque 2 other than what I've read and the whispers I've heard, which the whispers are kind of scary, but maybe that person will come forth with some more information about them whispers. But the Slammer 3 is a reel that I really wanted to kind of get to know a little more up close and personally. This is their 4000 size. This is a perfect size reel for your medium duty surf casting, and a good all-around inshore boat reel size. I'm guessing you get a good bit of 30 and 40 pound braid on this. It says 30 pound, 250 yards. And if you guys were a big fan of the older Saragosas, the FAs, or Saragosa Fs, 300 of 30 or 250 of 30 is exactly what the 6000 size got. So this little guy here is really looking to take aim at the Saragosa and Spheros. And if you're not familiar with those reels, until this thing proves itself, I don't think there's a better surf casting reel for the money, to be honest. Now, it's a solid reel. I mean, it's been fished. There's some rash on the lip. So, HK Jonathan did put a decent amount of time on this reel. And it kind of suffers a little bit from Penn's line lay. And this isn't a bad example, but you see that missing amount of line at the top here? Let's take a look at the Daiwa. See the Daiwa? And I think a half or third of the price. Lays line much better. And if you look at the shield, it's a little light at the bottom. If you look right at the bottom, there's a gap. I mean, that's generally speaking a design of the oscillation system. Sometimes you can add or remove a shim and make up for that. But for whatever reason, the Penn reels over the last, I don't even know how long, they can't get perfect line lay. They really can't. There are a few overseas market, European market reels. They're long cast designs that are beautiful and stack line perfectly. I think one of those made its way here, which was the Spinfisher long cast. But for whatever it is, I don't know why, they just can't get perfect line lay. They can't match Daiwa or Shimano. And if you see those posts on the internet about people having backlash and wind knot issues, on the Penn battles and the clashes, maybe not the clashes, but the other $100 reels. This is exactly why. A lot of times there's a huge gap at the top that you can't pull off a shim and kind of compensate for. It's just inherent of the design. And what Alan Hawk pointed out with the line roller not being centered. So it'll either get too high or too low, and it'll cause that kind of poor line lay. And in my opinion, line lay is one of the most important things about a reel, because if you're using a lighter braid in the 30-pound, 40-pound range, or 20-pound, if you don't get that perfect line lay and you have gaps at the top of the spool, you really can't spool out to the lip. You have to give yourself a big gap, and that kills your casting distance. So, a company that's been around as long as Penn, I kind of goof on them, saying they're kind of a joke, because oftentimes the most basic thing they can't get right. But the Slammer 3, it really looks to be a pretty solid reel. This is not the first one I've handled, although I haven't really been inside. I have fished one a little bit over the past year. I'm going to be putting some more time on this one, and we're going to get up close and personal on it. So guys, I really do appreciate you guys taking the time and money to ship this stuff out here. I can't thank you guys enough. It gives me more material to use. It gives me a broader base of reels that I would generally not buy, because obviously money, and I can still kind of get up close and personal with them. So I do greatly appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to getting inside this one. And this one as well. I really want to know just how good this reel is for the $100 price point, because as it stands, there's nothing that comes close to the BG. There really isn't. The Shimano Naskell, whatever you want to call it. It's a very good reel. I just think that Daiwa's got it beat as far as how much torture you can put it through. One of my friends, the 3500, which is a reel I wouldn't really use in the situations he was using it for, and I always use this as an example. He had a Penn Battle 2, the bigger one, like the frame size larger than this. I think it's like 24 ounces. It's a much larger reel. And he had a Daiwa BG 3500, which is a smaller version of this. And we proceeded over the course of about, 3 weeks to put 100 bass over 35 pounds, 20 of which were over 40, and a few were over 50, all through plug-in heavy current, whether we were eeling, chunking, plug-in, 3-knot current. And at the end of the season, I took his BG apart. It was brand new inside. And I think after its second full season, or towards the end of its second full season, it started to have issues with some corrosion and some clutch bearing issues. But for $100, I mean, these are big fish. These are really big fish. I broke his personal best, biggest fish ever caught on his boat, just to give you an idea. I think it was 53 pounds, something like that. But I'll tell you what, the BG for the money is for me. And I've always recommended this reel. It truly is a great one. And the Saltus is a pretty reel. It has 99% of what's in here, and a kind of a few small upgrades. You get the mag seal at the AR clutch, mag seal and the bearing, some other bearings and a better bail wire. I think the drag might be a little bit different as well. And I also want to mention about what I've been seeing a lot of lately. For those of you that shop on Amazon and eBay, be very careful of the BGs that you buy, because a lot of what I'm seeing now is they're specifically stating it's the Japanese import, and they're giving it a great price tag. So guys that may not be in the know may purchase those thinking that it's either cheaper because of the currency conversion, the yen versus the dollar, or because, I don't know. But the issue is, most guys associate JDM with better than what we get here in the States. When it comes to a few reels out there now, the JDM reels are vastly inferior. The BG being one of them, because they use a thread-in handle instead of the, I should say they use a hex handle instead of the thread-in. And you also have the Spheros, which is kind of the same deal. Lower grade gear, lower grade gearing, and a hex handle instead of the thread-in. And if I'm not mistaken, there's also a JDM Nasky that's around, and it's an old model that may show up as new. I've seen that, and I'm like, what model is this? So just buyer beware when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, with that being said, thank you very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. This is kind of a little bit of an up close. We got the Tsunami Shield in the 5,000 size, one with all the seals, the BG 4,000, and the Penn Slammer 3 in the, what is it, a 4,500? I already forgot. 4,500, yeah. Tell you what, the rotor on this thing is heavy. When you see a reel like this that wants to kind of keep on going like it does take a little bit to get going. That's, you know, a little bit because of the seals, but this rotor here, it's like a brick. For this size reel, I really would have hoped you could have lightened that up, because that goes a long way into that feel that you get, that connected feeling. And not to get sidetracked on expensive reels, but guys that ask me what I recommend, the Saltiga or Stella for the surf, and I love the Stella in the surf, I love the Saltiga in the surf, but what I found, if you're fishing like needles and, you know, some, you know, no resistant baits like a bucktail, having the super light rotor of the Saltiga versus, say, the Twin Power, Saragossa, and Stella kind of gives you a better feel. You feel more connected. So when you're coming down the backside of a wave, you don't lose contact with the bait. And here we go again. This is a Speed Demon. Sounds like I don't know what it sounds like. Sounds like one of those spring-loaded RC cars that you put around, or not the spring-loaded ones, the little slot cars. Oof, that's rough. And once again, we'll be comparing that to one of the Franken reels that I have lying around still. It's got the Shimano frame, the Shimano side plate, the Cast King side plate. I think it's got the gearing from the White Bird and this from the White Bird. And again, Eric J, once we meet up, yeah, this is yours. Oof, man. Quality with a capital Z. Alright guys, take care. I will see you soon. Time to get back to work.